Hey there, welcome to my channel. This is Jill Morris Smith, also known as the Savvy Servant, also known as a nonprofit expert. So if you're trying to start a nonprofit or grow your existing nonprofit, this is definitely the channel you want to hang out on. I primarily work with new nonprofits, so nonprofits that are um, established less than 5 years, or even those who are interested in starting nonprofits. It's those first 5 years, actually that first 1 year, that's very crucial. But those first 5 years, a lot of times funding is very low, and so my mission is to help those nonprofits and those founders position their nonprofits so that you all can compete for that big grant funding, that six-figure grant funding, that government grant funding. So you got to get it right in the beginning. And at least if you don't get it right in the beginning, let me help you course correct so that you can put some things in place. Now, I have to say, if you have not taken my pre-recorded How to Start a Charitable Nonprofit e-course, I strongly advise that you take it, because the way the course is laid out in a strategic way of building your nonprofit. And if you miss something, that can impact your opportunities to get grant funding. And that's local grant funding, foundation grant funding, um, state and federal grant funding. So I like to help you get over some of those hurdles and take care of some of those vital components that a lot of nonprofits overlook in the beginning, so that you can position yourself properly. Um, what was I going to say? Let me see. So yeah, so you definitely, I strongly advise that you take advantage of that e-course. It's over 6 hours worth of content. It is, as I said, I give you all the strategy and how to build. I tell you what's important and what's not important. I tell you what systems you need. I tell you program development, organizational development, branding, um, all kinds of components that you need to compete for big grant funding. What else is in there? All the tools that you need to set up your board, to from setting up your board to managing your board to getting um, what else is in there? Getting sponsors and all that great stuff. All the tools are in there that you need to get your nonprofit where it needs to be. For my YouTubers only, my YouTube subscribers, there's a link at the bottom for 20% off. And feel free to click the link to get that 20% off of the e-course. What else? What else? What else? Yeah, I think that's it for the moment. So today, I want to talk about um, one thing that you should do after 1 year of being established. Now, let me tell you. Now, this is your first year. You have filed with your state as a nonprofit corporation. You have put a board in place, even if the board is not perfect, or even if it's not a lot of members. So when I say 1 year, as after being established, I don't just mean just 1 year. You filed and ain't nothing, you didn't do anything. So that's one of the reasons why I strongly suggest the e-course, because I tell you exactly what to do in your first year. So, but assuming that you have a board in place, and that you have at least tried to do some type of services out in the community. You have put some activity out there in the community, assuming that this is one thing that you should be that I recommend that you do in your after your first year. So before I tell you what it is, the reason why I this came to me is because the other night, I was having a coaching session with one of my clients. Shout out to Nina Crump. I was not going to tell you her name, but Nina Crump, NC Ministries. She's doing a phenomenal, when I tell you, a phenomenal job in Maryland, kick butt nonprofit organization. And so they just celebrated 1 year. NC Ministries just celebrated 1 year, I think this week. And so please go follow her, Nina Crump. She's on YouTube, Nina Crump. She does a wonderful, she has one of her programs is Sister Circle. So I think a Sister Circle, which is a platform that that comes on YouTube and Facebook every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. with phenomenal guests. So if you have a nonprofit that is, or some type of mission driven project or business, you may want to reach out to Nina to see if you can get a spot to be interviewed on Sister Circle. It's called Sister Circle Saturdays. That's what it's called. I was featured on it one time during Nonprofit Awareness Month, but it's called Sister Circle Saturdays. And so please go follow Nina Crump. Her YouTube channel is Nina Crump, Nina Crump, Crump, and her nonprofit is called Nina NC Ministries. Anyway, I was having she's one of my one-on-one coaching clients. We've been working together. Maybe about 2 years, maybe. But we've been working together for a while, and we had a session on Wednesday. We were meeting on I'm getting a little confused. We're meeting on Thursdays, but now we changed it to Tuesday. So, we were celebrating the 1 year. She's had so many accomplishments over the last year. Just doing some groundbreaking work in Maryland, and she's about to launch a brand spanking new program. So she has a lot of women's empowerment events. Her empowerment events are usually sold out, yeah, she's doing some great things, and her nonprofit, as I said, is focused around women's empowerment, but really looking at some of the issues that women go through. But we were meeting, and she's 1 year in, and so this is one of the things that I strongly suggest that, one of the things I had shared with Nina that she's doing now is that when you're first starting, I strongly suggest that when you put your board in place, that in your bylaws, that the board term is just 1 year. So a lot of nonprofits put 2 years, but I strongly suggest that you put 1 year, a 1 year term. And why that is important is because usually when you get, you want to first, because people are volunteering and you're new, you don't really know what you're doing, it's trial and error. Sometimes it can wear people out. And so you want to ask those who are going to be on your board, you want to ask, can you please have patience with me? And this is as the founder, and can you please give me 1 year? And so after that 1 year, you can assess the individuals on the board. Some may want to fall off. Some, may want to say, you know what, I did this for you, best wishes, I'm praying for you, but it's just, it's I can't devote any of my time. And that's fine, because that's what you want. You don't want to wear people out. But there's some people who, over the course of the year, they are, they're showing the areas where they're most effective for the board. So when you're doing that, you want to look at first, let me just tell you this. As I want to remind you this, and this is in the e-course, but I want to remind you that as the founder, you can have one or the other role. You can be the founder and the executive director, that's on the day-to-day operations side, or the founder and the board chair, and that's on the board side. On the board, let me remind you that the board's only responsibility is governance, looking to make sure that the day-to-day operations of this nonprofit is operating according to state and federal regulations. Basically, they're there as your big brother, big sister to make sure that you're not doing anything, out of compliance. They want to make sure they're guarding you to make sure they're not um, bullying you. They're protecting you. They're guarding you to make sure that you don't go to jail. And it's so easy to fall into the gray areas when you're operating a nonprofit. So that's why you have a board so that they can basically um, um, that they can protect you. So you're either going to be the founder and on the board side, or the founder, or on the executive and serving as the executive director or on the operation side. For Nina, she is the founder and she is the executive director. So she has a board and she has a kick butt board. So one of the things that I strongly suggest that you do is after the first year, assess your board. Do an evaluation of your board, some type of survey, some type of one-on-one with each one of your board members, and basically get their feedback of what they think over the last year, what can be done better, what you as the founder can do better. Are there any areas where you're falling short where they can help you with? Ask, give, you can do a whole survey one-on-one with each. And then after you do that, then you reevaluate all the responses. And then the board, because in the bylaws it says they have a 1-year term, then the board, if everybody decides that they want to stay, then the board as a whole, they can do a new vote of who they want to be the chair, who they want to be the vice chair, who they want to be the secretary, and all of that. But once you assess the board, um, then you can find out if anybody on the board wants to transfer over as a volunteer to the day-to-day operations. And usually sometimes when you have a board, and especially in that first year, you see 1 or 2 people who are doing a lot of more than the board requires. So let me just be clear. The board is only there for governance, to be oversight over the nonprofit day-to-day, as well as fundraising. Now, when there's a board meeting, of course, the board secretary, they're going to do a little bit more work because they got to get, meeting minutes. They got to write meeting minutes. They got to also keep the files. They got to also alert those who are they got to also alert those who are on the board that there's going to be an upcoming meeting coming. They got to also put out a public announcement on social media or wherever, announcing that there's going to be a board member, because remember, your nonprofit is a public entity, so it has to be announced to the public. So there is some work that has to be done, but for the most part, your board members are not there to run your programs or to manage your programs. That's what the day-to-day. But after 1 year, assess your board members and ask, does anybody want to transfer as a volunteer over to the operation side? And so if they do, or if they don't, then you can do what you need to do accordingly. But you definitely want to assess your board members, those who want to stay, those who don't want to stay, they can go ahead and their term is up. They can fall off. You can thank them for your services, and even give them a letter to say that they served on the board and they served well, and because serving on a board has great it holds great weight for people's careers and professions. And so you can do that. But those who want to stay, see if they want to, if they're effective enough, if they're doing more than what the board requires, if they want to just transfer over to help get help expand the operations in a volunteer capacity. And if you have the funding, maybe give them a stipend over there, or some type of compensation. But you definitely want to do that after 1 year. Assess your board, evaluate each board member, and look at their effectiveness, their skills, where they are excelling in. Say someone on your board might be, great at marketing, and they, made sure that your flyers and all of that throughout the year, even though that wasn't their duty as a board member, but maybe they went above and beyond and helped you in that area. And so maybe you want to consider that person to come over to the operations side, the day-to-day operations, and help as a volunteer in that, on the operations instead of on the board. So after 1 year, you want to evaluate every single board member. You want to have that one-on-one. You want to get the feedback. You want them to critique you. You want them to give some honest feedback of how you are doing as the founder of your nonprofit, because it helps with helping you to improve and to it really does help you when you are doing your grant applications and your proposals, and those board members weigh very heavily in a grant proposal. And so yes, I hope this helps. Again, after that first year, evaluate your board members, assess your board members, see where they're most effective, propose that they serve in other capacities or or on the operations side as a volunteer. Let me just remind you, as the founder, if you are a board member, as the founder, again, you can choose to serve on the operations side, the day-to-day operations of the nonprofit, or the board side. Is a conflict of interest to do both. And this is a charitable nonprofit. We're not talking about private foundations. This is a charitable nonprofit, public charity. But if you decide to, and if you're on the day-to-day operations side, you are indeed a board member. You just are not a board officer, and you're a non-voting board member. If you are on the board side, not on a day-to-day, then you can serve as the founder in a officer position, and you can vote. But you can't do both because it's a conflict of interest. And that's broken down. All of that is broken down in depth in the e-course. And so I hope this helps. And yeah, all right. So also, I just put a live video out there. I was just doing a tester video. I want to start going live. I want to start helping you out. As I said, on that live video, that tester video, I used to go live every single morning on Instagram, and it was a huge success. Instagram, to me, I think I've maxed out Instagram, so I'm expanding over here to YouTube. I want to go live here. If definitely not daily, but at least once or twice a week. But please let me know the day and the time that you would prefer that I go live. If it's in the morning, or if it's in the evening, if it's during lunchtime, what would work best for you? And so whatever the consensus is, I'll start going live, and then we can be interactive. You can ask me questions. It can be Q&A. And so it's a cost-effective way to glean from my expertise and to help you grow your nonprofit. All right. So you all be blessed, and I will see you in the next video.